Time is money, I got time and time saved.
The reviews are in, and Zohran Mamdani is getting a standing ovation. Small business owners are literally jumping for joy because of the new Open for Small Business initiative. Unlike the establishment Democrats, who appear to be on the brink of financial collapse, Democratic Socialists are bringing economic prosperity, the exact opposite of what the fearmongers said would happen.
If you own a single-family home, a two-family home, an apartment house, a co-op, a condo, a small business, a grocery store, a bodega, Zohran Mamdani wants to take your property.
It must be so easy to lie on Fox News. All you have to do is say what the Republicans are doing, but then replace it with Zohran. In reality, what Mamdani was able to pull off in just over 6 months is beyond belief. The small government party nor the Corpo Democrats have ever come through for workers like this. I'm over the moon. Dawn Kelly, owner of Nourish Cafe in Jamaica, Queens, told The Guardian about the new reforms. Her caseworker, she said, held her hand from the idea to cutting the ribbon, and she's thrilled that more businesses will now have the opportunity to use the program. I say this is great for workers because while the right and the center want you to think that socialism means the state owns everything, really, it means putting the money back into the hands of people who work. And small business owners are often worker proprietors. Co-ops, worker-owned businesses, employee-owned trusts. There are lots of ways that socialism is provably better for business. J.W. Mason, an associate professor of economics, said, governments that call themselves pro-business don't particularly serve the interests of these small businesses that New York depends on. In some sense, a lot of what being a socialist mayor, a socialist in office means is making government simply work better. It literally breaks the brains of people who think they know what capitalism and socialism are because they watch Fox News. They think that socialism means no money, no markets, no private business. So when Zohran showed them a real-world example of what a better democratic socialist world looks like, folks literally get emotional. Dawn Kelly says she got emotional this week watching Mamdani's press conference. Julie Su, Deputy Mayor of Economic Justice, called out Kelly by name when announcing that the city will now offer the food handling course at multiple locations. These people are serious. They really care about small businesses, she said. They get shit done. It's no coincidence that there's an all-time interest in moving to New York City. I've even considered it recently. Folks want to live in a place where opportunity actually exists, instead of just the opportunity to get exploited. And they want a Democratic Party that is actually fighting for change, not just the status quo, as Ben Wickler pointed out.
Every major Democratic nominee for Senate that I'm tracking across the country is committed to either amending or ending the filibuster to do pro-democracy, pro-voting reforms if they get into power. And that's a really big shift from where we've been just recently. Down the road, we'll think through who will be in the presidential primary. And I don't know who the right person to meet the moment is going to be. But I do think that it's on all of us to look out for people that are not going to try to restore some status quo that frankly was broken in and of itself, but rather want to move to a future where things actually work for everyone.
Ben Wickler was the person who lost DNC chair to Ken Martin, by the way, the same Ken Martin who is now currently bankrupting the Democratic Party and throwing temper tantrums behind the scenes. They kicked out David Hogg for criticizing the party, and yet he's perfectly right here. He says we shouldn't have someone leading the DNC who can't raise money, let alone someone who throws stuff at staff and can't raise money. Interesting how the so-called adults in the room are actually the ones who are fiscally irresponsible. Even the Pod Save America guys are flabbergasted by Ken's spending decisions.
And so I just wonder if you have this much debt, is like that the right allocation of money to be giving it to state parties in Guam and Northern Mariana Islands when, Axios reported that there's also contemplating layoffs at the DNC?
There's no, again, John, you're just throwing out a bunch of garbage.
Okay, that's what the report was. And
we've never contemplated layoffs at the DNC. I haven't laid anyone off since I've been a DNC chair.
Okay.
My job is to help us win everywhere, to build power up and down the ballot throughout the country, including in our territories. And so you and I can just disagree on whether or not those are investments that are worthwhile. I believe they are worthwhile.
I find it hilarious that not only does Ken Martin think it's okay to waste money to win and then goes on to not win, but also Jon Favreau's biggest issue seems to be the $20,000 going to Guam instead of the $20 million that they spent on Kamala's campaign, who ran on supporting Israel and incremental change and then lost to Donald Trump. The DNC is so bad with money that they put up their own headquarters as collateral for a massive loan, just to spend more on centrist candidates who are going to lose. The Democratic Party and its allies are far behind Republicans when it comes to money. Mr. Trump controls a $400 million super PAC, and the Republican National Committee is sitting on nearly $130 million. Mr. Martin's DNC is $2 million in debt. The issue with the moderates at the DNC and in the party is that they think they're popular but unknown. And that's just not the case. It's always, well, if the voters only knew how great we were and how bad the Republicans are. But they already tried that excuse in 2024, and it seems to be their strategy again for the midterms.
It is harder to be in a swing district, but you've got to try, right? You've got to try to be interesting. You've got to try to say, what do we think? Who are we? Why are we the good people? And I give incredible credit to Bernie Sanders, who has been tireless about trying to promote politicians who he likes. And I hear so many other Democrats, and they're mad that Bernie is promoting these people and that the people who they like aren't getting promoted. But it's well, who's going to promote them other than you?
Whining and complaining are the go-to moves for centrists who are not willing to improve the lives of Americans. Instead, they want Democratic Socialists to simply stop demanding more, and especially to stop providing more, like Mamdani in New York, or else the centrists will have to answer tough questions on Fox News. This is the feckless and cowardly opinion of Rahm Emanuel, whose opinion Bernie Sanders had no issue shrugging off.
Said it was the socialists who led the charge to defund the police, open borders, abolish prisons. He's saying those are losing messages that are going to hurt the party overall. How do you respond?
That is what Rahm Emanuel is saying, who no doubt has the support of millions of working class people. Look, this is an argument. There's no debate. There is a strong division within the Democratic Party. You have an establishment like Rahm Emanuel, who are dependent on billionaire campaign contributors who want to maintain the status quo. Then you have a progressive movement, which, by the way, what is getting these guys nervous is we are winning all over this country. It's not only Mamdani in New York City, it is in New Jersey, it's in Ohio, it's in Colorado. People are sick and tired of the Rahm Emanuels and the Democratic establishment and the Republican establishment. They are asking simple questions, Margaret. Why in God's name are we the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people as a human right? Pretty simple question. Canada does it, Europe does it, somehow we can't do it. Why do we have an economy in which one man, Mr. Musk, owns more wealth than the bottom half of American society?
Yeah.
Why do the economists tell us that in the richest country in the history of the world, our kids will likely have a lower standard of living than their parents? The American people are tired of a rigged economy, a corrupt campaign, finance system. They want real change. They don't want Rahm Emanuel and the establishment maintaining the status quo.
Voters aren't as stupid as the DNC thinks. They can see that democratic socialism is providing for the people, while the establishment's status quo only serves the elite or Epstein class. As George Carlin said, it's a big club and we're not in it. The best way to support our work is to join us as a member, or simply subscribe to US Democratic Socialists. I'm Tony Hinderman, and I'll catch you next time.